Happy Saturday, guys, and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Dubs. I'm your host, Bill T. Well, you thought I forgot about you because a couple weeks ago I didn't get a podcast out, but we just been jamming with all the holidays and lots of stuff going on here. So without fail, we got a podcast coming out for you today, and it's about the Cory Max Vegas World Finals. It's going to be taking place this weekend, December 7th. So we're going to be getting into that. Got George on today for the roundtable, and we're going to go ahead and do a bit of a detail on what happened last one crazy weekend and some of the things to look forward to and giving you the code to get your rooms for this year. So let's get into it this week with Race of Champions and one crazy weekend and what else is going on this week's roundtable on Let's Talk Dubs.
You probably don't know that there's a new Volkswagen out that doesn't look like a Volkswagen. It's got everything that people who like the bug like. So if you happen to see a good-looking Volkswagen, don't panic.
George, what's up?
Not a whole lot, man. Just living the dream, bro.
I don't mean to interrupt you in the middle of whatever you're doing right now, but we're doing a podcast today. So just wanted to get on here. We haven't last couple podcasts I put out were some history podcasts, and I got a little bit of I got some feedback on a few of those, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But I think what we wanted to do was we wanted to talk about. There's lots going on in the VW industry. We have the Irwindale is going to be shutting down, so that's going to change a lot going forward from a drag racing standpoint.
And for drag bugging day.
Yeah, can hardly hear you, George. See, talking to that microphone, and then we got a lot of stuff happening. But more importantly, this weekend is going to be the
Race of Champions at Las Vegas Motor Speedway.
Right, and so we're going to be talking about that. I'm going to get Brian Watts on the line here in just a second, and we're going to get some details from him with what's happening in respect to that weekend. But George, what's your plan for this weekend?
We will be going. I'll be heading up there. Probably do some filming while I'm there. But as Las Vegas Volkswagen Club, we're all going to head up there.
All right, so we're going to be getting some people here, and let's ring in our guy. All right, Brian. So welcome to the podcast, Brian, and tell us all about the event that's going to be happening this weekend here in Las Vegas.
Oh man, well, that's a long story. It's been 8 months of 24/7, as you well know, being a promoter yourself.
Right.
It's sun up, sun down, and talking to racers and car show people and sponsors, and it just. I have a newfound respect for promoters that I used to, just because being on this end of it now. But we're excited. We've got people coming from around the world. I mean, there's 200 people coming from the Hawaiian Islands that have chartered a whole jet to themselves.
Really awesome.
Yeah, that are coming over, and they assure me there's more than 200, but that's all their plane would hold. So I'm excited about that, and the people from Hawaii are just amazing. I've never met a Volkswagen person from Hawaii that just wasn't, the typical community member that just loves their Volkswagens and loves talking about them, you know. So
well, that's fantastic.
Excited about it.
What about details of the event for people that are going to be coming out from Southern California to come to the event? If you wanted to give the host hotel, some of the details, where you come in, what time you can enter the show, all those kind of good things.
Yeah. The host hotel is the Gold Coast, but their host hotel deal is over. They closed it out about a week ago.
Okay.
So you can't get that deal anymore, but that's the host hotel. We're going to be, Cory and I and the team are going to be in town probably Thursday, just to get a lay of the land and see how we're going to lay it out and avoid any potential problems. Friday night is their streetcar races, which anybody that's pre-registered to race will be allowed to enter the facility and set up and stay overnight till Saturday.
Nice.
But you have to be pre-entered to do that.
And that's for the racers, correct? That's
for
just
the
racers, not car show participants.
Yeah, it's for people that need to set up their pits and all that type of stuff. And we're going to have Ken Gentry, the NHRA Tech, is going to be there on Friday. So anybody that comes in on Friday will have the ability to tech their cars on Friday, which is going to help reduce the line at Tech at Saturday morning.
Yeah.
So they won't have to jump in line and wait and get all that stuff done, which makes it a little easier for Ken on Saturday as well, making the line smaller.
And now the advantage to getting your tech done on Fridays, you guys are planning to start the racing as soon as you can, right?
Yeah. None of the race cars can race on Friday. That's a street car only event. So they're coming in, but the race cars won't be able to race Friday, just to clarify.
Right. So if you've got a street legal car that you race and you've got registration insurance, you can race. If it's
you can race.
So as a caveat there, if you happen to have a race car that's got, that's street legal and registered, if you got registration insurance, you might be able to sneak it on the track.
Exactly. No, they'll welcome you. They'll love to have you as long as it's a street car.
Right.
Is the way that they've told us. But and then Saturday the gates open at 6, and from there, you line up to get in at 6, and there's going to be a kind of an express lane for the people that are pre-entered, kind of like the Disneyland, fast pass.
Mm-hmm.
That if you're pre-entered, you'll be able to kind of bypass the big long line and go in.
Hey Brian, if you're looking to do the car show, is there a place where people can pre-register now, or it's already over?
No, it's pre-register still open. Absolutely.
Okay, where did they go to do the registration for
that
car
is
show?
at the FOAT. The FOAT, FOAT.com, and then Race of Champions event.
Okay.
And it'll pop up, and it's all right there where you can pay online, which, it's been, we're doing something different with that than any other Volkswagen event has ever done. Everybody's so used to just pulling up to the gate and paying that we're trying to do this because a lot of the bigger events, the no prep and radial events and stuff like that, they're all using this FOAT deal to pre-enter, and it's a good idea. We like it for the future to do it. We're trying to do it, but let's be honest, a lot of the Volkswagen guys are like me. They're over 50 and they're not all tech savvy.
No.
So we're very happy with what we have with the pre-entry, but there has been a few bumps where people have had problems. They don't understand how to do the tech card and this and that. So we've been very happy that if you have a problem, reach out to me, and I've helped a lot of people through the process and done the best we can to get them in there. But we still expect there to be a long line at the gate Saturday morning with people that just want to do it the old way.
Yeah.
No problem.
Which is fine either way. We just want you to come, and whether you're coming to race, show, swap, do whatever. Yeah. We if you can't do that, we would love you to just come spectate, because events traditionally over the past 50 years, whether it's the Bug-A-Rama, the Drag Day, the Bug-In, they've all kind of been the same template. They're all kind of laid out the same way with the swap meet and the car show. And so getting Cory back into this, we wanted to do it kind of different. And so we've got some new classes and different ways of doing things that are going to be kind of unique. And we're excited for people to be able to see it and experience it. And, then hear the feedback afterwards. What did you like? What didn't you like? And we're going to be all ears. This being the first time, we're going to make mistakes, but
for sure.
We're trying to do something as fans. I mean, we're the promoters this time, but we're doing it as fans. We love Volkswagens, and that's what it's about. If we don't, band together to help support this community, it puts it in a precarious position with tracks closing and things like that. You know.
Yeah, I would say with Irwindale now shutting down at the end of this year, there's no more Southern California drag race events as of right now, and Vegas is the closest place and probably has a world-class facility. The only issue is, for this to be a viable situation, really people got to come out and support it. I mean, everybody wants to complain they don't do things like they used to, like back in the day and all this kind of stuff. It's a different world now, and venues are way more expensive, and it just puts all that stress on the promoter. And so you just gotta, listen. Hopefully the people who listen to this that are on the fence about going decide to go, because I'd love to see another event here in Vegas taking place, especially with racing. And definitely, it's a great facility out here. And if people want to drag race, now's your chance to show up and drag race. And if this one's obviously, if this one is going to be successful, then there'll be more to come, but it really depends on the people, just like everything else.
Well, absolutely. And the one thing that I can say is the fact that, we, in the past, you've always heard grumblings about the promoter did this and they do that, and I don't like it. We can't do that. We have to just support each other in any event, because, this is with Irwindale closing and Sacramento closing. If this Vegas event, the Vegas event isn't supported and doesn't, at least cover the bills, of course, and it goes away, Volkswagen events as a whole, you won't have anything between the Volks group up in Medford all the way to, Texas versus the world in Texas. There will be nothing in between that.
Yeah.
That's Volkswagen only. And, our concern, we weren't exactly thrilled when the only day available was December 7th, but we took it because with the tracks closing, we thought, man, if we just give these guys one winter off season to think about it, it's kind of hard to justify to the wife that you've got $100,000 in a race car and you race it once or twice a year.
Right.
She's going to want to sell that thing and let's get a boat, let's get an RV, let's do this. And so that's where Cory just felt like it was the time that we needed to do this. And even though it wasn't, the greatest date we wanted, and it was only one day, which is another limitation, we just felt it was needed for the community. And, we want our event to work, of course, but we need Texas to excel. We need the Medford events and Samoa that JK does, for those to excel. We need all of them, because just one race doesn't save the community.
No.
This is a thing where we all got to help each other. And so that's where we're at, to try and help each other out. And, it's just about loving Volkswagens, man. I mean, it's one of those things. It's like what Bill does. Bill is one of those guys that is a promoter, does this show, and that supports the community. And, that's the type of people why I got into it 40 years ago. Is Volkswagen people were like family, man. They were just the best people. You loved hanging around them, and that's what we need to focus on and remember. I mean, there's 5% maybe that are, some troublemakers or they like to complain, but they're not the majority.
Right,
Volkswagen
definitely.
people are the best people,
Well, and I think, one of the things people are wondering is what's the class breakdown on this event? Like what race classes do you have? And is there any gray area? Is it your car would fit between this and that? Like where are we at with that?
Yeah, well, we like I said, we've done kind of a different template. So we have some classes that are new and unique. We've got some old classes. We've got the Pro Index, which is your dragsters, your roadsters, things like that, which is, in a Bugorama type format. That was top eliminator.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have that. We've got Dave Foltz coming with his dragster, and lots of the other guys with their Pro Index cars. Then we've got what we created is called the Extreme class, and that's for the baddest door cars out there. The Dave Perkins, the Eric Calabrese's, I mean, all of those guys. And we have done what nobody's done before, which is no rules.
Yeah.
Other than NHRA safety rules, right? However fast your car's going, you've got to, follow the NHRA safety rules for insurance reasons. But other than that, you can do whatever you want to your car. Add nitrous, intercoolers, whatever you want to do. And, in the past, there's been some bickering in that class over rules, and this car doesn't fit the rules or, things like that. Well, we've taken that all away. You now can build your car however you want to build it, and let's go out there and see who has the baddest car on the planet.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's what that class was built for, and we're excited to see those guys do battle. But for the guys that are a little off of that performance, that maybe doesn't have that type of money, we created the 94 bore class, which is basically the same thing with no rules, but your limitation is no bigger than 94 bore.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a CC.
Okay.
You're not really a CC limitation because you can go in bigger stroke, but there is a limitation on it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just the 94 bore. It's sponsored by Icon Pistons, and that's the only limitation. Again, you have to have the NHRA safety rules. That's in every class,
Of course.
but you're just limited by the bore size. Other than that, do nitrous, do whatever you want to do. It doesn't matter.
And everybody all cars need to have catch trays underneath them, correct?
Yes, you're right. I was going to get to that.
So
but
if
yes,
everybody's coming out, make sure they have a tray underneath their car.
And just to kind of explain that a little bit, I mean, some people have complained about that. They have to understand that when we came to Vegas Speedway about this, they did not ever want a Volkswagen race again.
Yeah.
They had a bad taste in their mouth because the last event I went to there in 2015, my memory's not great, but there was like 13 to 15 oil downs.
Yeah, we're local, so we've experienced it year after year when they used to have the Buggerama here, and it sucks because they'll just start racing again. Next guy goes up, blows an oil line, and decides to do a full freaking track pass, and you're like, now they got to clean the whole freaking track again. Yeah,
well, they did not want us back. The only reason that we are having this event is because Cory has a 30-year relationship with the manager at the track, and he was able to explain that no, there's oil containment now. There isn't that type of problem, and we had to promise him that we were going to do everything to keep that to a minimum. So that's why I've been posting this over and over and over and over, because I don't want anybody to show up and act surprised about that. And
correct,
it keeps you from sitting in the staging lanes while it's 110 at most events, and you're waiting on that cleanup. Nobody likes doing that either.
Nobody, not the spectators either, because it ruins it for us in the stands, because you get to see two cars run, and then there's another 45-minute gap in between while they clean the mess up from that guy. And then a couple races later, it happens again. So I actually like it. Bill and I have gone up to the Medford one before, and those guys require the catch trays there, and they're consistently racing. There's never downtime on those tracks, and there's a difference there. So I appreciate that rule actually myself.
Well, we're trying to do it. I mean, it's not very expensive to do it. I mean, you can fab it yourself. They make the diapers you can buy that, as I understand, they're like a couple $100.
Mm-hmm.
In the grand scheme of things, a couple $100 on a race car is nothing.
Yeah.
So it shouldn't be a big deal. And it
keeps the event moving, especially when you're trying to get everything done in one day. You can't have a bunch of track cleanups. You've got to keep the ball rolling,
Right. Well, and the other thing is people have complained about, we want it on the transmission too, but transmission oil is the worst to clean up.
Yeah,
and
super thick.
That's one of the things why we added those on there, and some people are bitching about that, but it's just, all I can say is please just work with us, because if we had a bunch of oil downs, we might not be invited back next year.
Correct.
And to have a quarter-mile track, which is a rarity in Volkswagens now, obviously, and to have a national level track. I mean, you guys have one of the best tracks in the country.
Agreed. We have a beautiful facility.
Yeah, to have that available for us to do this, when we went to do it, there was nowhere else we were looking at but Vegas. We got to go to Vegas. That's where you want to be. I mean, it's as I tell everybody, it's Vegas.
Yeah, I think that's a small sacrifice for a racer to make, and it's for the greater good of the entire community. Like you said, if they don't want us back, then where's the next show going to be? Where's the next race going to be? Because there's not a track around there. They closed Firebird in Phoenix, correct? There's nothing left. So
you can go to Bakersfield, but Bakersfield doesn't want a Volkswagen event either.
Yeah.
But you can go and run there with the V8s. But, anybody that's ever done that, it's just not the same vibe.
It's not.
Right.
It's not.
You've got 5 or 6 Volkswagens in the pits. That's great, but it's not a Volkswagen crowd. And I don't know. Me personally, I just like that vibe. Going to Bugorama twice a year in Sacramento was always like a family reunion. You got to see people you only saw twice a year, So we're trying to create that. And, our goal is, of course, to have it pay for itself. That's the biggest thing, because Vegas is so unbelievably expensive to do.
Yeah.
But we're just trying to make sure we make enough money to pay off the bills. Hopefully we make enough profit that we can walk in and put the deposit down on next year. And we'd love to have at least 2 days, but we'd love to have 3 days next year. And then if we've got enough money left over after paying all that to just go out and have a steak dinner and say, hey, we did a good job, we're fine with that.
Don't count on that part.
Well,
if you break even, you won. I can tell you that right now. If you break even, you won in the first year.
Yeah, so. and we realize that.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely right. If we just do that, we'll figure out a way to do the deposit next year if we can get the dates. But, yeah, we're at this point, we just want to make sure that we can pay the bills because, Vegas is just not cheap. And
it's not.
Our entry fees have been a little more. The T-shirts are going to be a little bit more, But, a loaf of bread, milk, gas, everything's more.
Correct. Plus, the cost of that facility is very different than a parking lot show at a mall or something like that. Like there's a big price tag attached to the Las Vegas Motor Speedway.
Yeah. Well, and the shocking thing is all the incidentals that come with it you didn't even think about.
Correct.
Security,
EMTs, all that stuff. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It just goes on and on and on. And then, if we turn on the lights, it's scary how much more it costs if we just turn on the lights.
Yeah.
And, it's daylight savings time, so it gets dark at 5. So
yeah, I was going to say there's a good chance those lights are going to have to come on.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So we're begrudgingly expecting it, but it's like, oh, man, the lights come on, it costs us that much more.
Yeah.
But, the track's been wonderful to work with. And, the hard part is just communication and getting questions answered sometimes because they're so busy with NHRA, NASCAR, all these big events. And when those are in town, we literally couldn't get questions answered because they're busy.
Yeah.
And, people have kind of chewed our butt on that. They're, well, what about this? And it's like, we've left 4 voicemails. I'm waiting to hear back.
Yeah.
And it's just the way it is, but when we do get them, they've been nothing but helpful.
Yeah.
And, we're excited about it. And anyway, I'm rambling here, but
so now
you've got ask questions.
Yeah, you've got the extreme class, you've got the 94 bore class.
Yep. Then we have the traditional pro stock.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, which is Pat Downs and Damon Harmon and guys like that. And it goes by the East Coast Texas PRA rules. It's standard class that we all know, for decades. The next class is the SSVX, which is super stock. The NHRA class goes by NHRA rules, which is Ashland Sacchetti and David Stark and cars like that. Mm-hmm. And then we have the bracket class, which we're excited about because, the bracket guys have traditionally been kind of overlooked.
Mm-hmm.
You just count on them to show up, but you don't give them much attention. Well, Cory wanted to go back to what he raced in back in the day in the 80s when he was racing it, and that was a 4-lane template for it where there's 4 lanes of bracket cars. You get in 1 lane, you race that particular lane all day long, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And if you win your lane, you're going to win $2,000. Well, that means there's going to be 4 winners at $2,000 apiece.
Oh, wow.
And then those 4 winners are going to race each other to be able to go to the final where there's going to be what Cory calls a bonus bucket of money, which is dependent on, participation and things like that. But he's going to give another, big pile of money to him. So your bracket guys, I talked to John Sugar and Muffler Mike, who are 2 of the biggest bracket racers over the last 20 years. And they said that at one point that the biggest they had ever won was $1,500.
Right.
And I said, okay, so if we do 2,000, is that good? And they were like, hell yes. So not only are we doing 2,000, we're doing 2,000 times 4.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then you win the whole thing, and we're calling it the Bracket World Finals because it's, these guys are coming from around the world. We're having cars coming from Mexico, coming from Hawaii for the brackets.
The UK.
I mean, yeah, we had a guy that was coming. I have not been able to get a hold of him, so I don't know if he's coming. But there are several people that were coming from Canada as well. So calling it the World Championships for the bracket guys, we felt justified in doing that.
Yeah.
So and it's going to be an amazing to watch that format and see what their feedback is, because most of these guys aren't old enough to remember the 4-lane format. So it'll be neat to see what they think of it afterwards. And it's our first time, so we know we're going to make mistakes, but at the same time, we're very willing to listen afterwards and listen to everybody on what we need to change and what was good and what can be better.
Yeah.
But
are they actually going to race the 4 abreast? Are they racing the 4 abreast?
No. To do that is twice as much on the rental.
All right, because I know we have the capabilities at our facility. I just didn't know if you guys were actually
Yeah. And that's the first question everybody asks, and it's like, yeah, that would be cool, but it's twice as much to rent. And on top of it, we need to get a really big car count. Otherwise, you're eliminating cars at a quicker pace, so you'd be done by noon. So, maybe someday.
Well, those lights won't come on that way.
Yeah. That's a good point, right?
Yeah.
So we'll see, but down the road, and they prep 2 lanes instead of 4. Somebody asked about that. Well, if they oil down, can we just jump to the other lanes? No, because that's part of the cost, because they only prep 2 lanes. So it is what it is. But
until someone puts on a show, they don't realize that every little thing has a cost attached to it. Everything, the bathroom facilities, everything has a cost attached to it. So yeah.
Well, to stay over from Friday night to Saturday, we have to hire extra security to stay over, because they want security on their facility to make sure people aren't, vandalizing and doing this. So everything comes at a cost, and that's the thing that people just don't understand. And we're just trying to balance it out. But the payouts are big enough that everybody ought to want to come. Everybody's worried that we put a minimum car count based on, this car count, that car count. And, you've got to do that to just kind of protect yourself. But that doesn't mean we're going to take away the payout. I mean, Cory's a racer.
Yeah.
And Cory truly wants to make these guys, love this event and have fun. And so it's just more than anything, it's a legal disclaimer kind of thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that if there's one car less than what we said, that, that gives us the right to take away the money. Cory's not that type of guy. I mean, I've worked with him for 11 years now, and he's just a good guy. I mean, after a Hall of Fame career in NHRA for 30 years, he is still a Volkswagen guy at heart. He has his family's oval window that he won his first race in, and he can't wait to bring it out to the track and show off his oval window.
Awesome.
I mean, after all these years, he's still just a Volkswagen guy at heart.
It never leaves you.
No, it doesn't. There's something about these damn little cars that it gets in your system, and it just, it's with you till the day you die, which is a good thing,
Correct.
In my opinion. So
no, that's good, man. Well, listen, I'm looking forward to this weekend, this next Saturday coming up. And, and I'm hoping we'll put some links in the description of the podcast below, just to give everybody
appreciate that
a little bit, if they just want to click right to it and then get situated with respect to coming out for the event and pre-registering and all that kind of stuff, just to show their support.
Right.
I know I'm behind you guys through some support your way to make sure that we
appreciate that, Bill.
we can try to
people need to
help
people
events
need
out.
to be behind you for what you're doing as well. I mean, you support the community in every way you can, and people need to realize that without people like you that are willing to give your time to do that, that's when this thing dies. You know, it just does. We've got to support each other, you know, and there are different personalities and different opinions. You don't have to love everybody, but, you know, just don't tear them down.
Yeah.
You know, support the event, support the things that go on, go there and do it. That's all I can say. And Bill, you do a ton. So you have my respect, brother, for sure.
Well, cool. Well, we're looking anything on the ground we can do to support you guys over here. I'm sure we'll connect before this weekend and
Okay.
see what we can't do to you know, make sure that we can just be there to support you. And of course, Let's
Right.
Talk Dubs will be out there. Hopefully we'll get some time
Awesome.
with some drag racers, get some interviews out there, possibly do
Yeah,
a
yeah,
live
yeah.
stream while we're out there. And you know, hopefully you guys will be there checking it out and supporting this event, because without the support of the VW enthusiasts, these events don't happen. So you guys make sure and get out,
Absolutely.
support this event, come by, say hi, and bring out a car and get yourself in that bracket class and get you some of that $8,000. How about
Yeah,
that?
yeah, exactly.
If you always thought about
Exactly.
trying your hand at it, now's the time.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely. Absolutely. Come out and just be part of it and just experience it, what we're doing,
Well,
you know?
cool. And so for anybody that wants to get on this, go to the FOAT.com and then just search Race of Champions and it'll pop up. I just did it. It was pretty quick. I'll put a link to that in the description below so you guys can do your pre-registration.
Appreciate
so you
that.
get in the gate faster. And then anything else, Brian, you wanted to mention before you wrap it up?
You know, we're all approachable. We're all going to have radios on us to be able to get back and forth. And if you have any issues, any problems, any questions, you know, please seek us out and we'll try and help with whatever it is. And Cory's completely approachable. He's planning on, you know, being there to take pictures with everybody and do whatever he can and talk Volkswagens, and he's excited about it. So
Good deal.
just come and have a good time. You know, we're
That's it,
building
buddy.
something that we hope will be here for years.
And
you
that's
know?
it. That's it. That's this Saturday, December 7th, starting at 7
Yep.
a.m. So show cars, all that stuff, get there 7 a.m. or earlier, or what time we get in there?
Yep.
Show
Yeah,
cars.
yeah. Gates open at 6, so I would just plan on getting there early, and we're going to be getting in there. We had planned on, you know, opening tech at 7 and getting the track to go live at 8, but they advised us that they wanted to wait till 9 or so to get a little more sun on the track. But they assured us that, you know, the coolness of the track won't be a problem. They prep that track all the time. And it's not going to be a problem. And you know, for everybody's worries for the last 8 months on and how cold it was going to be, I watch it every day, and right now it looks like it's going to be 70. So it
Yeah.
couldn't
Perfect.
be any better.
We have
you know?
beautiful weather in December in Las Vegas. Beautiful
Yeah,
weather. so-
yeah. Well, and it's exactly what the estimate was when I Googled it back in January. So it's right where it said. And I mean, you know, who can complain about 70?
Nope.
That's perfect.
Yes,
You
sir.
know,
Perfect. Well,
so we're excited.
good deal. Well, Brian, I appreciate you for coming on the podcast, and we'll see you for sure on Saturday.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate it, and it's been an honor, and thank you both. And I look forward to seeing everybody out there. Okay.
You got it, brother. Thanks.
All right. Have a great day.
Well, it looks like there's going to be a pretty good turnout here this Saturday, December 7th. So looking forward to that. You know, one of the things that I did want to bring up is at the Speedway. So Las Vegas Motor Speedway is a cashless facility. So you got to
Correct.
make sure that you bring a debit card and you have,
That's not a promoter's choice. That is actually a facility rule. So,
Yeah, so-
you know,
at any rate, there's a lot to look forward to. Hopefully they get a lot of support, because the people in the VW community need to support events like this. You know, think about this. Irwindale Speedway is closing down. Matter of fact, their final day in business will be December 21st this year, and they're going to have a big farewell extravaganza and all that stuff. But with that being said, now Irwindale's gone. You have Verona, which is down near San Diego area, and then you've got Bakersfield is the next track that's around there. So there's not
6 hours from here, Bakersfield.
yeah, there's not much left other than Vegas. So I would think the West Coast racers should really come out in full
I would
force
hope so, yes, sir.
to support this. I mean,
And even the car show aspect of it. Remember, there's more than one facet to this, and spectators are important. Participants in the car show are important. Participants in the race are important. To make an event like this happen, if the average Joe knew the cost of renting that track, you'd understand why The car show entry, of course, it is higher than a standard car show because the facility, once again, and the spectators slightly higher. Once again, the facility. All these things require a higher price tag because of the facility they're using for it. This isn't a parking lot show that you can just walk up to on the street. This is inside a world-class racing facility, and they charge accordingly to the promoters who are putting the show on. And unfortunately, that cost does get put onto us, the spectators, the participants, all that stuff, but you accept it if you want to see these events take place in the future.
Yeah, it's just a circumstance. It just is what it is. So hopefully everybody comes out and supports it. You're looking for something to do. It's going to be perfect weather in Vegas that weekend. So make sure you guys get out there and support the Race of Champions. So
all this talk about car shows, Bill.
Yes.
We just had a car show recently. I haven't been on the podcast since we did One Crazy Weekend.
That's right.
So this is new to me. We had a great turnout this year. Almost more than we could handle. That was for darn sure right there.
No, it was a big turnout this year. It's the biggest turnout we've had so far. We actually ran out of room in the car show facility.
Correct.
So if you didn't pre-register, you kind of had to get. There was just no room for you. So hopefully, you guys will. The lesson you'll take from that is to make sure you pre-register. But there's a couple things that we've done for this next year. So we've now secured the upper parking garage of the hotel. So there's a couple things where that makes it beneficial. One, it's 4 times the size. 2, it's concrete instead of asphalt, which I think even if it's a little warm, because this year was hot.
Yeah.
This year was hot.
Unusually warm for
in spite of it being
October.
hot, there was still a monster turnout. We didn't
Correct.
get anybody turn away, and it was very hot. So moving it up to the top of the parking garage, it's a concrete base, so it's not going to be as hot as an asphalt street that you're going to be standing on. Elevation's a little higher, plus
a beautiful view.
The nighttime view up there is incredible. So when we come back from the strip cruise, we do all that stuff. It's just going to be out of control the way.
Another really nice thing about that upper parking garage is we can really, really control who's coming in there because there's only one way to bring a car in, and that's the ramp coming up. So we've always paid for the additional security and whatnot, and all the barricades and all that to secure the participants' cars while they're at our show. So this is just going to give us another level of security. There's only one way to bring a car up and only one way to bring a car down, and we will have someone manning that gate while everybody's resting and sleeping, along with the security that we pay for regardless to patrol the spaces.
Yeah, so this next year is going to be, we're going to be adding a couple activities to this next year. So this year I had somebody make a comment and they said, "Oh, I showed up on Thursday and it was lame." Well, they flew in without a car. And so because this is really a driving event and stuff like that, if you're going to be flying in from out of town, you might want to show up on Friday, early Friday morning, and then everything starts kicking off then. But if you're driving in, you need to come in on Thursday because Thursday we're going to be doing an event. So there's going to be 2 events. We're getting that schedule hammered out here shortly, but there's going to be on Thursday and Friday. One day there'll be a poker run. One day there'll be a poker tournament.
Yeah.
With prizes.
Actual card game, not the poker run.
Right.
This is a card game.
And it's just going to be just for One Crazy Weekend. It's not going to be for the public. So if you're not great at playing poker, stuff like that, don't sweat it because you're not playing. I mean, some of us might be pros. Yeah. But you're not going to be, it's
Bill watches it on TV on a regular. He's almost professional.
Watcher. I'm a professional watcher. And it would be something fun to do. The hotel's going to host it. We need to supply the prizes. So we'll come up with some really cool prizes for the poker run. And I'm sorry, I keep calling it the poker run. I'm sorry, the poker tournament. So it's actually be a card inside the hotel, a card
real
game,
deal tables, real dealers,
tournament.
everything, like an actual poker tournament.
Right.
And then we're also looking at, because the Orleans is a pretty awesome facility, we're looking at potentially doing a bowling tournament. I remember back in the classic weekends, they used to have a Berg bowling tournament. So obviously there's some interest in bowling in the VW scene. I'm a former league bowler. I've got multiple friends in VWs who are former league bowlers, and we are going to come out and bowl this event. So if once we hammer out the details for that and we know what that's going to cost for sign up and the actual time that they're going to let us use the facility, that'll be on the Let's Talk Dubs website for the One Crazy Weekend. And we'll get everything all hammered on that. But we do know that is going to happen along with the poker tournament. And these are all separate from our standard car show on Saturday, and our poker run Saturday night.
So we're just adding some more stuff for the event just to be a little bit more encompassing for a week. Again, when we schedule stuff, we don't want it to be too much stuff on a schedule because we want to give you some liberty to go, in and out, go check stuff out. If you want to take your Volkswagen for a cruise around Vegas, you can. And so now with us being in the upper floor parking garage, it'll allow that a lot better. So cars you'll definitely be wristbanded to get in and get out. Without that, you can't. So don't bring your car up if you don't got a wristband. And we're just keeping it to where the people that, and the way one of the reasons that we're going to be, strict at the gate is because the event is designed for people to have fun. And when people pay to get in there, they're paying so that their car is secured, so that their location's secured, so they can not have to stress about stuff. And that's why we make sure that, last year we had some rowdies, some people that are getting kind of rowdy. They had to leave, man. Like we're this is not that show. So that gets squashed pretty quick. And if you're coming to have fun, then show up and have fun. If you're coming to make drama, I ain't got no place for you over here. So
find another show.
But it's going to be, feedback on the show was huge. Instagram was massive on it. I mean, content continued to come up on that show 2 weeks after it was over. Yeah. So it was clearly a great time. A lot of people had some really good experiences. As a matter of fact, Lanny just shipped me the trophy that disappeared. So I have the new trophy here for Rich DeWitt.
We'll get that over to Rich DeWitt right away.
Lanny Hussey's trophy.
And to anybody who actually participated in the event, whether it was spectating, you brought a car out, or you just did the poker run, whatever it was, we thank you. Because without people supporting the event, there is no event. So it takes everybody out there to come and participate in the event to make an event happen. So thank you guys very much for making that.
No, appreciate, again, we do it because we love the hobby, and we're glad that we can provide an opportunity to have an experience over a weekend. That's really what One Crazy Weekend's about. Is about an experience. Come out to Vegas, have a great time with your friends. Don't stress out about your car. Hop in and out of your car, cruising around. Enjoy it was funny. I got a good feedback back and forth on the strip cruise. Some people got in a bad spot, and other people, like when I got on the strip cruise in Zorba, bro, I cruised from one end to the other, like with very little traffic. Yeah. And I mean, it was I got
consistent positive feedback because I am actually manning the gate as people come back from the strip cruise. So I don't actually get to participate in the strip cruise, but just a resounding positive vibe from people. They had a great time. Obviously, some people had some issues where their car broke down or whatever. I mean, that's neither here nor there, but the majority of response I got from everybody, whether it be the car show, whether it be the strip cruise, whether it be the poker run, just happy people. Just really happy people. We got a couple of cool text messages from people that just saying, wow, how nice. Like every shop I went to had little trinkets to give you. We have a great group of people doing our poker run. So the boys from Ross Wolf, they're usually over at SoCal. And we got SoCal that actually opens up their facility on a Saturday night to allow themselves to be one of the poker run stops. Lenny, the owner of SoCal, he owns a 65 Beetle. So he's a VW guy, Yeah. Nevada Off-Road Buggy that opens up and allows us to do a poker run stop at their facility. We got the Gold Coast where we do a nice little view for everybody, like a photo opportunity that we have someone set up to take the picture and all that stuff. And then My Shop the Wagon open up for people to come in and have a good time. We had IBB barbecue there dishing out food. We were giving away poker chips with the wagon logo on them. We were trying to make it a really rounded event, is what I'm going to call it, a rounded event. And then I saw the video of Joey Giordano getting his winning 3 from you, and he got his first 3 from me at the wagon, and he got his last 3 from you. So the bros.
Yeah. No, listen, that guy couldn't have been on a higher plane than winning. Not only does he win the big cash money at the poker run, and then he gets the Buddy Hale Award for Buddy Hale's pick. And so that made his whole weekend. So yes. Here's a problem. Like once you have a weekend that great, every other weekend's kind of like, it was all right, but he had a great time. I saw Joey just recently when this last weekend, I did a trip up to Gardnerville, Nevada, and then out to near Lodi to drop off a couple cars. So interestingly enough, I picked up a car from, a few years back when I went interviewed Chris Addington. He had a 1960 convertible sitting in his shop. That was a car that was being built in the 80s, painted by Steve Connect. never got finished. Customer bailed on it. It had the fiberglass dash with the console in it, and we were making a roadster, and it had graphics similar to like the PPI style amplifiers, the triangles and all that stuff.
The geographic shapes.
Anyway, that was for sale.
Shapes, yeah.
That was for sale when I went to see him. And so one of the things that's going to be happening this year at One Crazy Weekend is we're going to throw in a bit of an 80s theme. So there's a couple cars that are going to be being built for like an 80s throwback scene. So these cars are going to be not pan off restorations, kind of a garage level build, but do your own kind of 80s car. So I know Bob Daniels is doing one, Tori Alonso's doing one, Andy Finch is doing one, Russell Ritchie's doing one, and then I'm going to do one as well. So there'll be those cars. We're going to have a special 80s display section out there with some of the cars from the 80s, and then also putting those kind of debut 80s builds out there. So that's going to be something that's cool.
80s tributes.
80s tribute cars.
Not rebuilding 80s cars, or 80s tribute cars.
These are cars built in the style of the 80s and 90s. So
hey, shout out to Russell Ritchie, by the way. How many cars did he have there? 4? 3?
Yeah, he had Dino's Bug, the Cal, the
Blue
Cal
Persuasion,
look,
whatever it's called. What is it?
No, the Cal look. The one was out there. Oh, you're talking about
Dean
no
Kirsten's.
Sapphire.
Sorry,
Sapphire Blues, bro.
Sapphire Blue, beautiful car. The white one with the turnstile is the original one from the cover. Is that what it is?
Correct.
They have the turnstile headlights.
Yeah, it's the Aronson Holmes car.
Love those freaking headlight buckets. I look at that and said, that's a freaking cool idea.
Yeah,
the turnstile inside there just looks super cool.
Yeah.
Beautiful car too.
And so that's the original Aronson Holmes car was there.
He had the tribute we did, the
yeah, I was going to go through the list.
Russell Ritchie one.
Right. So he had the
Rich King.
Yeah, he had the Carmen Gia there that you and Andy and all those guys built. And if you guys want to see a video on that, go check out George's YouTube channel at the Wagon on YouTube, Wagon with an E. So
WAGEN.
Yeah, so go check that out if you want to see the build video on that car. They put that car together in about 10 days, I think, start to finish, and it was like blow it apart, do a quick 80s job on it, and put a motor in it, drivetrain, and get the thing built. And that's what kind of kicked off the inspiration to do more. I think the idea came from Russell. He was going to do 3 cars, and then it was like, let's just everybody do their own car. So it's just more than just, Russell doing a couple cars, which would just add some more creativity and stuff to it. So we're going to be reaching out to some sponsors to see who wants to be a part of that with respect to rubber and some interior stuff and things like that. So I'll be reaching out to some sponsors for that. To see if they want to help build that. But
they reach out to some sponsor for the show, One Crazy Weekend.
Oh, no. There's no question about that. Yeah,
So something that Brian was talking about, everything that a facility does for you incurs a charge. And you said that now with moving the location and like that, we're pretty much doubled the cost of what it normally costs to put the show on.
More than more than doubled. But I mean, it's a bigger space up there. I think people like it a little bit more. So
I think it's going to be a worthwhile investment because it's.
Yeah.
When they see the view up there, for anybody who was there the first year, that's actually when we did this show in 2020, and we had 60 people maybe, total locals and out-of-staters. It was on the top level of the parking garage, and at night when you're up there, you have a perfect clear view of the strip, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a better. I think each week just keeps getting better, or each year keeps getting better for this event.
I'd agree.
So I think, having people get out there this year and take a look at what we have coming on in 2025, it's going to be a well-rounded, more full event. Still haven't got my car shot for the magazine yet, waiting for the location so we can get the photo shoot done on that. And then what are you working on, George, right now?
Painting. I'm painting a 67 bus right now. Quite the undertaking, doing stuff like that solo. You really appreciate when you look at other people that have crews and like more than one guy to do things. I mean, just the amount of time it takes to do this is insane for me.
So you got a paint job you're getting ready to kick off on that bus, and then what else?
Well, I've already started that. We've already painted the undercarriage, the interior, and the roof, and now I'm actually going to be doing the two-tone of the exterior body and all the doors and whatnot. I also got a video coming out this week for a 64 Baja that I did an Ace Racing engine in, a front-end rebuild and some CV updates on. Took it from a 1641 single carb to a big 2332. Super cool looking Baja. And I got a couple of technical videos coming out, how to do compression tests and leak down tests on engines and whatnot. So my channel, I focus on a lot of a lot of how-tos or just technical videos, I'll call them. The Baja is not really a how-to because we just did so much that would have been a 4-hour video.
Yeah.
So it's more of just like kind of like a follow-along. And I do give some tips here and there, but more of a follow-along video. The compression test is more of a how-to, I need to really separate my channel from like playlists to like how-tos and then more like, I guess, lifestyle videos you'd call them,
Yeah.
But
if you guys want to check out some of that stuff, you haven't checked out George's channel yet, go to YouTube and just search The Wagon, and you'll see George's got a bunch of how-to stuff. I mean, all the way stuff from beginner things to advanced stuff. So anything you want to do, he goes into some great detail, from putting safaris in your bus to changing fuel tanks and everything in between. So you guys ought to go check that out. Make sure you subscribe to George's channel. And then what else in the shop are you working on? What other projects you have over there?
I got everything else on pause on that paint job right now. So we got nothing. I got 2 cars that we're buttoning them up. The ones that are in the videos coming up, they'll get buttoned up today when I go back there. But we're focusing on paint work until I don't have anything on the books till January or February coming in. Because I got 2 buses to paint. I have a 67 Deluxe that's stock, and I have a 66 that's full custom. So I've got a lot of paint work for a guy who doesn't do paint ahead of me.
Yeah, and I've got the Bull Run bus back, so it's up on the rack in the garage. I'm just waiting for some time and space to clear some things out. I got to ship a car. I got to ship the chop top off to my guy over there in Northridge, California. Scott Gildner, shout out to Scott. He's the guy that originally built that car, the red chop top, and he's going to go ahead and fix my deck lid. If you may have heard on the previous podcast, I may have discussed that left the barricade open and some rando just rolled into our parking garage.
So the barricade was open because the poker run ends, so we leave it so people can pull and get back to their space. It's not like the place was wide open. The guy just happened to turn in. No one was manning the gate at the moment. When they did stop him, which was immediately, hey, stop. He was literally right at the gate. And unfortunately, the gentleman was inebriated,
So I got to get that deck lid. I got to get that deck lid fixed, and then after I get that, we'll get a little space in the garage, and then I'll pull down
the Bull
Run bus and start working on a couple things that are be happening with that. Is I'm going to take the motor. I'm going to have Adam Wick go through the motor, just make sure it's got new rings, the heads are in decent shape, and then I'm going to go ahead and plan on doing. I had Turbos Direct set me up. They got a little turbo on there. And ordered some parts from CB, some of the hats and stuff like that.
Hold on here. Are you talking about turbo and the Bull Run motor?
Yeah, that's the motor's getting turboed. So we're going to just do a blow-through setup on those 44s and call it a day. I talked to the guys. They said anything 7 pounds or less shouldn't have any issues with the carburetors. Even even if you push it to 10 pounds, as long as there's a blow-off valve, stuff like that, you're really not going to have any issues with the carburetors. I mean, it'll be probably a bit of a jetting adjustment, but it's just going to be more for.
Is it going to be a custom header off that, or what is that exhaust? Orange Thorpe? What is it?
Onendorp. We'll just build something off the Onendorp exhaust.
Because it actually lends itself well. I've always wanted to do a turbo off of an A1 for the very same reason. It has that collector that comes sideways, and it would be a battery relocation, which I don't think is that big of a deal.
No, I just want the turbo underneath the battery tray with the intake pipe and the charge pipe coming up through ports and that. So that's out of the engine compartment completely, and then I think it should take that motor, which dynoed at 135 at the rear wheels, and probably push it up to close to 200 horse.
Yeah,
with 10 pounds of boost. So,
and in respect to what Pat Downs was saying, like he talked about the fact like when you add boost to an engine, the problem is you add heat to the engine and heat to the oil source because your oil is what cools it. I almost think that you could put a separate small set trap cooler that just cools the turbo oil. Like if you had a separate, like almost like a dry sump just for your turbo. I think it'd be fairly easy to set up. There's plenty of room in a bus engine compartment to do it. And that's what I always thought would be the game changer. So you're not introducing that heat. And usually when a turbo dumps its hot oil, it's putting it directly into the sump. It doesn't go into the cooling system. I mean, it does because the pump picks it up, but you're adding that additional heat to your engine.
Yeah, there's no reason why you couldn't get an electric oil pump. That
correct.
Would just circulate
That's
the oil
all it does
through
is
the
just
cooler.
circulate for that. And there's a little set trap with the one fan on it.
Yeah.
I think that'd be an excellent thing to do. And you're not adding the additional heat.
It would definitely be interesting to have the setup.
Yeah.
Not hook it up right away. Drive it around, record your oil temps, and then run it separately and then see what difference it makes in the oil and engine temps, just to see what it would do. You know what I mean? Because
correct.
Obviously that bearing and that turbo is pretty hot. You know what I mean? And that oil going through it to cool it down, going through that housing increases that oil temp quite a bit. So it'd be interesting to see what it would do numbers wise. But yeah, so the Bull Run bus just got to get headliner installed. Got to rebuild some panels. I'm supposed to get with
top.
Nick with with Nick with Air Terriers
out of the UK.
I'm supposed to get with him and get some of those panels for the inside of my bus to kind of do a little podcast setup in there. So just got to get with him and get that wrapped up. But lots going on, and I'm thinking what other vehicles up the 69, 68, I can't recall, that I have out there is going to be the one that is my car. It's going to be going 80 style, and I'm putting those center lines that I have on it in here. Do a little raspberry paint on there, some black velour interior. Call it done, dude. Slap a wink mirror in it. Game over. That's it. Keep
Basic
it easy.
80s.
Carpet kit under the hood. You know, and that was the thing we talked about with 80s cars, right? So many of these 80s cars that looked really cool, they weren't blown apart pan off restorations. They were decent starter cars. They had carpet kits. They didn't get paint where they didn't need it, and it had carpet kit and panels and stuff like that made. I mean, it was more of a traditional way, and people might say, oh, it was halfway. It wasn't a thorough job. They were just at different levels of building these cars, and there was different.
The car was considered different too back then. I mean, you could pick up a car for a couple $100, and that's legit. Like I bought my first Square back in like 92, 93 for $300. You know, so you're going to treat that car very differently than something you just picked up for $10K. You know what I mean? Like,
let's be clear. The first Squareback you picked up,
70
I
stereo,
traded
a head unit?
2-knob stereo for it, bro.
For a 71 or something.
At Stivers Automotive, bro. Hey, you're welcome, bro.
Thanks,
welcome
Bill.
for getting pimped up like that. But yeah, lots going on. Nothing seems to be slowing down. Probably the first event I would think we'll go to. I don't know if I'm going to run down to the DKK ringing in the new year. That's kind of just a cars and coffee type thing that they do.
Elaborate, because I don't know
it's
about
on a Sunday. They normally every New Year they do a little event where DKK Club does a DKK Club ring into the new year. It's called Cruise into the New Year. Last couple of years ago, I took in 2021, I think it is. I took a club pick award for the Chop Top, and it'd be cool to take the Zorba down there. But I'm also I wanted to take Zorba earlier into I wanted to take Zorba down to the Scottsdale Good Guy show. I wanted to kind of enter it in some of those shows like Buddy's doing, because I like those shows. I'd like to see the feedback I get on those type of shows.
Where you're going to not just a VW show, you're going against hot rods.
So I may be doing the Roadster show. I don't know. My only drawback with those shows end up being like 3 days, and you add 3 days expense of a hotel and all that kind of stuff, and it gets pretty pricey. So I don't know. We'll see. It's just the time issue. Worst case scenario, probably go to Octo in February, and then
we got buses in January.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about buses. Yeah, so I'll hit buses for sure in January, and then we'll see. There's I don't know about any other
the Ring in the New Year thing. Where is that, in Los Angeles?
Yeah. So normally what they'll do is they'll do that I'm trying to think of the name of the location they do it at, but.
Is it something we could bomb down for one day, or
you could? That's right. That's what I did last time. I trailered the car down there, and then jammed it in. It's the same place last year where we went to. I don't know why I can't think of the name of the place, but we pulled in with
Split Dog. That place.
I can't. The Cruise into the New Year, they do it at Duke's Cafe in Placentia, California. So that's where they had it last time. So that's where they'll do it again this year. So I would assume if they're going to do it, I'm thinking they're still doing it. But yeah, lots on the horizon this year. It'll be interesting to see how this year pans out, because this year coming up is the 50th year of the cow look, or the 60th year of the cow look, and then there's a lot of people.
What's that basing? What do you mean the 60th year of the cow look?
of the 19. It's 50 years of the anniversary of the Cowlook issue, the original Cowlook issue. So
you're thinking there might be some shows.
No, there's for sure going to be some events happening this summer for that. That's going to be the 50th year celebration of the Cowlook edition and 60th anniversary of DKP, if I'm not mistaken. So so that's going to be happening, I think, first weekend in June. So there's lots happening this year coming up. So there's a lot of people shipping cars over. There's going to be a lot of people from overseas that'll be here this summer for that particular event. That's the reason why Russell had shipped both those cars over, because both those cars were going to be here for the 50th anniversary of the Cowlook, which everybody's going to be celebrating next year. If you look at Air Mighty show next year, they're going to be doing the 50 year of Cowlook, and then also next year I'll be at Viva Skeg Vegas next year. So that's going to be August 13th through the 15th, if I'm not mistaken. 13, 14, 15. Yeah, so it's going to be 13th through the 15th. And so I'll be getting you guys more details on that as we come up with more info on that. But yeah, I'll be ahead of that. I'll also do next year, we're going to do the event for the Air Mighty show in 2025. So lots going on. More importantly, guys, if you guys have anything going on and you want to let us know about it, so to get it shot out on the podcast, make sure you guys hit me up at bill@letstalkdubs.com. That's my email. You guys can get me any info that you want. And then as far as any context for people that you want or stories you think are relevant to what we do here on Let's Talk Dubs, feel free to send me that stuff at my email. You can also DM me or private message me on Instagram and Facebook. So, George, you got anything else going on? Anything else you wanted to do before we wrap up?
Don't forget, guys, this weekend is Cory Mack's Race of Champions at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Make sure you guys support it. We've got to keep supporting these shows if we want them to keep happening, guys. So take the effort, come to Vegas, have a good time, watch Volkswagen's race, see a VW car show, and have a good time.
That's right, guys. And if you wanted to get your room booked, go to Showtime on letstalkdubs.com. Go to the page tab that says Showtime, and I put the link up there for the room reservation. So for 2025, room reservation link is up on the site. We'll have flyers out there this weekend for this next year's One Crazy Weekend. So until next week, guys, later.
You probably don't know that there's a new Volkswagen out that